in theory, welcome everybody, the four that are watching. In theory, tonight's subject should be, I've forgotten what it was.
Exorcisms through history.
Exorcisms throughout history. Hello, Eileen. I knew she wouldn't let us down.
Eileen, how are you?
I'm sure Cole's on there somewhere waiting.
Probably.
So, and we actually, to be honest with you, we didn't even know if we was going to be able to do tonight because I was so ill with my diabetes yesterday, like dangerously ill. But I'm here. You can hear in my voice that my sugars are high. I sound like Barry White, for God's sake. The difference is I can't sing. Anyway, your last week's one, I used vidIQ because it was under 2 hours and it chose X amount, and I chose the ones to put on there. And one of the ones you was talking about is on 1,400 views.
Cool.
That's her, not me.
No, yours are averaging between 1 and 5.
Yeah, exactly.
And those of yours are averaging.
You don't have hair. She has hair.
Yeah, it's all a bit wild today.
Those of yours that are averaging between 1 and 5, Joe, it's Kynan that's watched them all.
Good.
So you've got a fan out there, Joe. You got my.
It sounds like you've been adopted as an extra grandpa or something.
That is awesome.
There we go. I'm here, African guys. All good from Eileen. Right, as Joe's got experience in this, I think we'll let you go first, Joe.
Well, okay. So, exorcism is a word that the Catholic Church uses to get rid of demons, etc., out of a person. Exorcisms are a Catholic thing. Deliverances are a Protestant thing. And of course, most religions have some form of exorcism. The Jewish faith does. They get 7 men surrounding the person, and they do prayers and stuff, and they blow the shofar, and they do their procedures, their rites. The Catholics have a completely different rite than that. The imams for Islam do a completely different rite than that. Hindu, Shinto, the whole lot. Everybody has some way of getting rid of evil that happens to be in a person. So tonight we're doing, for the most part, the exorcisms, the Catholic version. But if something else comes in, because I've got stories of a couple of different ones.
I'm looking forward to hearing them, yeah.
I've got one imam helping me clear out a place. And I'll have to think about maybe talking about the other one because I'm really not supposed to. So, well, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. You can always change details.
Oh, yeah, I do anyway. I change dates, times, people, locations. And then sometimes they still figure out I'm talking about them. So I kind of, nah. But
then don't, if you don't have to, then don't. You know, it's not.
Yeah.
It's,
Won't get your head on the block.
Yeah.
So there was an exorcism in 2003 of a young boy named Terence Cottrell in the USA.
Is that the young black lad? Is that the young black guy?
Yes.
The priest and the mother reckon that he walked up the walls and across the ceiling.
Correct.
Is that the one?
He's an autistic kid. This one's an autistic kid, Terence Cottrell Jr. Died of suffocation when the church members pinned him down during the exorcism to expel the demons causing his behavior. So that was a bad outcome for an exorcism. Most of them aren't like this.
There's occasions.
Go ahead.
Evening, guys.
As we've talked about before in different shows, to do an exorcism, you go through an investigation, an interview with a person that's supposedly being possessed. Different groups have different ways of doing it. We were doing a 60-question questionnaire. You go through and you ask the questions on film. So the back of my head, all shiny as it is, was on the camera.
Not
pointing at-
666 questions.
No, just 60.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was getting into, Eileen.
Yeah.
How often is the so-called possession really a matter of poor mental health? That happens. That's why you go through, you do the investigation, you ask all the questions, you have the answers on film, they're transcribed for the records, the whole 9 yards, and then the person needs to go and get a physical and mental evaluation from real doctors before they will even think about doing an exorcism. Because it could be very dangerous if somebody is mentally ill, going in and doing this kind of stuff, you could really cause a lot of damage. So they're trying to make sure that it's not a mental issue, or most likely not a mental issue, before you go in and do an exorcism. So it's kind of an important thing.
The thing is also there is like the demonic possession horror films that are out there that seems to be going for a spate. They go through spates, like in the 70s with the Exorcist and things, and they were like a year or so ago. The only thing I really know about it is during the Exorcist film where Regan's in the hospital doing all the tests, one of the doctors that was in the room turned out to have been a serial killer in real life.
Yeah.
So,
well, the exorcism is really based on a boy.
A wee boy, yeah.
Yeah, he was, I believe, 14. His name was Ronald. They call him Ronald Doe.
yeah.
And
I don't know why, I always thought it was Roland, though. Is it Roland or Ronald? I can never always get it
Ronald?
wrong.
That's what I got in my notes, is Ronald. That's what I thought it was. So I just had to double check when you said that. But yeah, Ronald Doe. And his last name is different. I've seen it before. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
But he was brought in. They were starting. Let me bring up my notes here right now so I don't sound like a complete idiot, more than I usually do. But he was hearing scratching on the walls. He was hearing a lot of noises in his room and a lot of stuff going on, voices and things like that. So objects were moving on their own around him, and it intensified until a Lutheran minister called him to go and find a Catholic priest. Lutheran would be a deliverance. Catholic would be an exorcism. So they wanted to do an exorcism. That's what they thought. So the priest eventually asked the archbishop for permission to finally hold an exorcism. And according to the family, the Father Edward Hughes, the boy was not just screaming and flailing, but was also being physically attacked and bore scratches to prove it. When one set of scratches spelled out Lewis, they took it as a sign to travel to his mother's home in St. Louis, Missouri, and they continued the exorcism there. It was a pretty bad case. And then it showed on the TV, or the Washington Post retold the story. And that's what inspired William Peter Blatty to write The Exorcist.
And there is also the film version out there with, I think it's Timothy Dalton,
right,
called Possessed.
So.
He's supposedly more closer to the actual case.
That's a good movie. I like that.
That is very true. The movie is closer to the real story than, at least that's what it's been told.
And it's actually free to watch on YouTube at the moment as well.
Right. But that was an excellent case. Very famous case, of course.
There's things I've heard of. What I have a tendency to do, I'll fall asleep. I'll find something I want to watch on YouTube. I'll fall asleep, and if I wake up and the laptop's still going, I'll just carry on watching what was on. Saw something about that because I've been watching about the making of The Exorcist,
right?
And there's rumors around that Doughboy, a lot of his acting up was because when he went to the priest's house, the priest was sexually abusing him. And he was actually acting up because of the abuse, not because of possession. But that's one theory that's out there. Oh,
Robbie Mannheim.
Sorry?
Robbie Mannheim. I believe, let's see, reported the true identity of Rolando Robbie Mannheim as Ronald Edwin Hunkler. He passed away in 2020.
So quite recently.
Yeah. He was born in 1935 and passed away in 2020.
So what, in his
That's not bad.
late 70s, early 80s?
Yeah. This took place in mid-1949 is when it all started.
Yeah.
It is an interesting case. There's one that I did see, and it come up on the suggested videos on YouTube, and I can't remember much about it. It was over a year ago I watched this, but I believe it was Romania. There was a ginger priest that run this church, this Catholic church, and some woman came in saying that she wanted to learn about the church, and over a period of time she started acting really strange and acting the way people claim people act with demonic possessions. It got to the stage that they actually tied her to 2 planks of wood in the shape of a crucifix and started whipping her.
Mm-hmm.
And they eventually starved her.
Yeah.
I believe they got a little bit. They did get time for it. I believe. I think they did do porridge. I'm not sure.
I thought I had that case up here on my sticky notes. No, I read about it, but I guess I didn't.
There's a good question here from Eileen. How much training do practitioners of exorcism have, and who decides competency? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I'm going to lean in because I've got glasses on. I left my glasses in Heidi's car, so the other one really wants for them to do it.
I'm an ordained minister, and I do exorcism investigations. And, I go and I do the interviews and I do all that stuff when called upon to do it. Doesn't happen that often anymore. When I lived in California, it happened quite often. Then I moved to Arizona, and it wasn't nearly as often then. And then I'm over here in Europe now, and
there's next to nothing.
Yeah, next to nothing.
I'm not ordained in anything. The only thing I have absolute faith in is myself. I don't call them exorcisms. I just call them clearances.
Right.
But I do have the book.
Yeah, I've got it too.
Yeah, it's not so cool in English. I actually want the Latin version. I could only get the English version. And you feel like a numpty when you're doing it in English.
Yeah.
But it does seem to work because when it's in Latin, it sounds like it's something else. And a lot of folk don't realize it's literally listing of saints and martyrs and everything else. That
you're calling on the power of all of those.
Yeah,
all
you're
those
calling
people.
everybody. And when I do it, I also call my ancestors to help as well. I also have a Benedictine one that I was given by one of our local monks that has some other tips. But basically, from my understanding, for the ordained ones, there is the minor rite of exorcism is mostly what I do, where you're exorcising a building.
Right. That's what I can do as well, the minor rite. I can't do the full rite of exorcism on a person. I'm not allowed to do that at all.
Yeah.
Eileen said, is the Hollywood effect responsible for higher numbers in the USA?
It's California, of course. Sorry, California.
No, you're exactly right. In California, almost most everyone that I investigated was Catholic Hispanic.
Yeah.
Not everyone, but most everyone that I was out there. There were a few white families, and there were a few other, there were a few black families, but it was mostly Hispanics and very, very Catholic. So
I can echo that.
what I was
Right.
just about to say. I was just about to say that.
Here, because up here I get a lot of Peruvian, Bolivian descent people,
Mhm.
and also a lot of Polish, because we have a rather large Polish population, Polish, Lithuania, Romania,
Mm.
in
Right.
this area, and we know they're all Catholic, and
Right.
the majority of the houses that I've had to do are one or t'other of the various other countries that are much more Catholic than Scotland actually is.
That's what I was going to actually ask. I personally don't believe in possession. I honestly don't believe in it. I believe 99.9% of the time it's some form of mental health condition. The other 0.5% of the time it's just somebody acting up to try and get attention. But why is it that almost all of the possession cases are those of Catholic religion? Is it just purely that the brainwashing within that religion is so in your face?
Even if it's not brainwashing, right? They could be brainwashed into believing that the Catholics are God's chosen ones, which means the nasties that are out there are going to target them.
Sorry.
Yeah. The nasties that are out there are going to target them because they think they are God's chosen ones.
Right.
It doesn't mean that they're brainwashed into thinking that there are nasties out there. There are. I can tell you there are nasties out there. I've had burns. I've had cuts. I've had
as you said, I think it was last week, Linda. If a person basically was a piece of shit in life, until they learn, they're likely going to be a piece of shit.
Exactly.
It don't mean that it's a demon attacking the person.
No. Most of the nasties I've dealt with are grumpy ex-humans. There's only 2 cases I've dealt with that were potentially something else.
Now, elementals, would an elemental come under demonic, for want of a better word?
Not really, no.
They're just twisted nature spirits.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just their nature. They've been here forever. Whereas like the Striga, the vampires and things like that have been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years before even Christianity came up. I've always thought that was interesting, how holding up a cross would cause them to go away. Because I heard a joke one time that you're a vampire and you're sitting there in your little place and hiding from the sun and sitting there having a coffee or whatever. And all of a sudden you have this fear of a cross and you don't know where it came from, because all of a sudden, it's 33 BC or 33 AD and Christ is hung on the cross and boom, there you go. Now you're afraid of the cross and you don't know why.
That's not Freddie. That don't make it.
Because that's it. Because the Strega, the Strigoi, whether you're on about werewolves, vampires, whatever, they've all been in their own country's folklore for thousands upon thousands of years, whereas Christianity's only hit 2,000.
As I've said to Joe before, like 15 years ago, I interviewed Joe for the blog that I was doing. I'd done a thing back then and that's one of the topics I was hoping we'd get to do, be like real life vampire cases and that. The first actual ever recorded vampire case was actually in Bath, not in Europe. There was a great...
They could read and write. That's the only reason it got recorded.
Well, that technically it wasn't recorded then. It was more recently recorded. But there was a grave that was dug up. That body was upside down. The head was between the legs with a stone in the mouth. And this was from the Bronze Age. And that was up in Bath.
Upside down.
Bronze
So
Age, you're still having intertribal battles. And there is the belief that the tribal warrior spirit can escape and still help their tribe. So by putting the stone in the mouth, the tribal warrior spirit can't escape.
Right.
I would say that's more likely than vampire things.
And buried upside down, they can't come back. They can't dig themselves out and help.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's why I think it was thought of as being a vampire grave, because obviously the body upside down, they can't dig their way out.
Yeah.
Because they're facing downwards. All they can do is dig their own way back down further into hell. So, there's obviously...
Which doesn't exist in Bronze Age times.
Yeah.
Sorry, you knew that was coming.
I know. Obviously, the most famous possession case is that young girl in France.
I've forgotten her name.
The one the film Exorcism of Emily Rose was based on.
Yeah. I didn't put that one in here because I knew one of you guys would bring it up.
I can't pronounce.
I've got to get the DVD to have a look because I've got the DVD sitting here. You just knew that, didn't you? Hopefully it's going to tell us.
Do you know what? Going free like this and no research on everyone, it makes it more manic, and that's how I like it.
It doesn't actually tell you the lassie's name on the thing. But yes, being the horror movie fan that I am.
Annalise Michelle, that's it. I can't remember her
That's
name.
it, Annalise.
Yep, Annalise. Annalise Michelle.
That poor girl, what the church put her through is just absolutely disgusting. I'll see if I can bring up if you let me save it.
I think all of these horror stories is why nowadays you have to have the medical and mental assessment before they're even going to think about it, because of all these people who have died and all the rest of it. It's horrendous what they did, but they were genuinely trying to help. I mean, nobody's
like the way her own mother's holding her.
Yeah. I mean, nobody's going to put somebody through that kind of horrendous torture and not be meaning to try to help, you know.
But the trouble is that with a lot of the people that do this, they're so strong in their religious beliefs. Like, for instance, up until I think it was about the age of 11, Prince, the singer Prince, was epileptic. But on a regular basis, his own parents took him to a church to be prayed on because they said he had demons in him.
Yeah.
You know, and sadly, you're still hearing cases, not just in third world countries, but in America and England and all around Europe, of people still doing that now in 2025. Yeah. So, excuse my voice, everyone. My diabetes has been so bad. That's why my voice is so funny. Hold on, we had a message from Eileen. Those responsible for Annalise Fiasco were brought to justice through criminal proceedings. Yeah, I believe they were, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, look at that image, you know, yes, they thought I was helping her, but the way her mum's holding her. You know.
Yes, chokehold. Sorry, that is a chokehold.
Yeah. She was probably flailing about and trying to fight and hit, and you know.
In the other hand, it looks like she's possibly got a Bible held against the side of her head.
Probably is.
Probably, yeah.
You know, but there are people even today. You know, I love winding the Christians up anyway. Yeah. there's those on there that are convinced and like from the apologetic videos I watch, there's those that are so convinced that it is real.
Yeah.
What's this, Arlene? A lot of ignorance and fear brought about by superstition and legend is perhaps responsible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Because if it's like you say to a child all the time, "Oh, you're useless. You'll never do this. You'll never do that. You'll never get anywhere. I don't love you," and all that. They're going to grow up screwed up like me.
No, I don't think anybody's that screwed up.
Wow. Well, yeah. No, you're probably right there. But it's the same principle. You know, if, from a very young age, Pushcat. Freddy's Pushcat. Bloody look. I think he's possessed sometimes. But the doctrine, when in religious families, is if you don't do this, or if you masturbate, or if you swear, or take the Lord's name in vain, you're going to go down to this place that's full of fire, and you're going to burn forever, and Satan's going to stick a pineapple up your ass sideways, and all this sort of thing. And they're so they're so scared into it from such a young age, they believe it's real.
And so you obey.
Yeah. And as soon as you do something wrong, and it's natural for a young boy to start thinking about girls at certain ages and doing what young boys do and all that. And then they're going to go, "Oh no, I've done that. The devil's going to come and get me, or I'm going to get possessed by a demon. Mum told me I was going to get possessed if I touch myself." Because children are so malleable at such a young age, they can be made to believe this sort of stuff really easily. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty lucky with my sort of stuff, because the other day I had to go over to when I spent the weekend with the kids, and on Friday CJ had RE, and as I went and met him, came out of the school, I went, "Oh, what did you do today?" He went, "Oh, I had PE, then geography, then RE." And he went, "God, that Jesus stuff's a load of bollocks, isn't it?" And that's at 12 years old. But that's not what I've taught him. He's literally just used his own opinion.
Yeah.
Now, if I'd been me, or their mum had been a religious type, he would have come out going, "Oh, they told us all the wonderful stuff about how good Jesus was."
Yeah, my mum was brought up Methodist, and you had to sit exams in Sunday school.
Jeez.
You had to wear a uniform, and as part of your uniform, you have a bar for each exam you've passed. And if you were seen in the street on a Sunday without your little berry, without your uniform, without your medal ribbon and your bars,
did you get your black belt as well?
You got punishment essays.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about a black belt, but it was blue and white check dress that they had to wear.
I think I saw Joe in one of them last week.
And by the time Mum by the time Mum had us and we lived up here, the village I grew up in, it's like, look, the church is 5 doors up the road. If you want to go, go. If you don't want to go, don't go.
That's how my parents did it. It's like the church is right over there. If you want to go, go. It's up to you. Yeah. We went with our friends. We did summer Bible camp, that kind of stuff for a little while, and then that was it.
In some cases, if you're in like a part of the world where you don't get to mix, the only time you get to mix with your friends because you live so far apart is at school, something like that, that's great. You can get to spend time with your friends and have a laugh and do whatever you're going to do. But when it comes to the point that, if you do this, there's going to be a demon come inside you and make you do this, that, and the other, and then take your soul to hell, to me, that's child abuse.
Yeah.
Oh,
did
Freddie,
you know? Did you guys know that Salvador Dali had an exorcism performed on himself?
No.
Yes, the
Oddly
artist.
enough, that doesn't surprise me for him.
Yeah,
1947 in
work.
Spain.
Mm.
1947 in Spain. Salvador Dali, the surrealist artist with bent clocks and strange, funny stuff. Really
I love his.
cool
I
stuff.
love his
Anyway,
work.
I like it. He underwent an
Strange
exorcism.
mustache that he had.
Yes, yes. But he had a mental breakdown in 1974 after leaving the surrealist movement. So he'd been doing surreal stuff for a long time. He finally left that and went on to other things. And so he wanted an exorcism after that to get rid of his mental demons and all that. And then Friar Gabriel Maria Berardi received a painting from Dali as a thank you for the exorcism.
Well,
I thought that was kind of cool.
that is pretty cool, that is. Eileen just made a good point. Catholic schools back in the day were fiercely dedicated to indoctrination, no escape. That's the word I was looking for, was indoctrination.
Right.
Because the brain, you say, you know, like with Bella, if I spent every single day saying, you're a bad girl, every time I walk into the room, she's going to think she's been told off. She's about to be told off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it works. It's the same with the human brain, because the human brain, especially at a young age, is so easy to damage. Basically, I'm a prime example of it from the damage I had when I was younger. So
yeah.
Oh, hang on, sorry. Are there any of your cases that you can talk about, Joe?
I've told you this one before, so I'll go ahead and I'll tell you this one. This is a regular standard. It was a family in the area around LA and in California. I got a call from one of the family members who said, I think my sister is possessed. We'd like to get it investigated. And I said, okay, so what are you seeing? She said that it hurts her hand when she touches the church. It's like a burn on her hand when she touches the wall of the church. She can't go into the church.
I said about that case I mentioned about the ginger priest. There was a similar case with that young woman that when she walked in there and touched the holy water, it'd burn her.
Right. And this is just touching the walls of the church. Said it hurt her hand when she did that. So I said, okay. I mean, I got the list of everything that she had said and wrote it all down and talked to the Archbishop and said, I'm going to go do this investigation. And he goes, be careful. So I went. And I took a couple of people with me just as backup.
I've got a dreamy tree. She's pestering for dreamies.
So we go out there and I get the camera all set up, explain the procedure. We're going to do the interview today and we'll do the investigation of the house, the next weekend. Because everybody was like busy the next day and et cetera, et cetera. So we worked around it. Get there, set up the camera and start talking to this girl. And I start going through the 60 questions. And when I got, and everything's just fine. She's answering everything just fine. Boom, 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 no problems. Until I get to the question, can you speak any language that you wouldn't normally be able to speak? It's in the second 30 questions. And she stopped, stared at me, and started breathing rapidly. And pretty soon she's almost like she's hyperventilating. And then she stood up, her arms flung out to her side, and she went in a much deeper voice than she had originally. She starts walking toward me slowly, yelling something, words. It sounded like a language, but I didn't recognize it at all. And she starts walking toward me until she gets about, that far from my face. I'm hearing she's about right here. So it's not terribly far, and she's screaming at me, and I'm just sort of sitting here like this, watching her. And one of her brothers and her sister came up and grabbed her by the waist. And she's a little girl, little skinny, petite, and she's pulling these two bigger people along with her, getting closer and closer to me, dragging them along behind. So I'm thinking that's kind of cool. So I've got it all on video. So this is kind of cool. And I'm just watching it. She gets close to me and she's screaming and spittle's hitting me in the face and all that. And I'm just sitting here watching. And all of a sudden she snaps out of it and she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, lo siento. I'm sorry. And she turns around and walks back and sits in her seat. And the rest of the interview just goes just normally like the first part of it had.
Wow.
I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah.
Why that would do that. And of course, it's all recorded. So I took the recordings of the voices and I sent it over to a friend of mine at one of the California universities, and he's an anthropologist. Sent it over there to him, and he comes back and says, "None of us recognize the language, but we don't know what some of the ancient languages sound like because nobody speaks them anymore."
Yeah.
So it could have been, real Aramaic. It could have been something old. Could have been. I'm not saying it was.
Gibberish.
Yeah, it could have been totally gibberish. Tongues is a language.
Mm.
If somebody's speaking in tongues, they're speaking a language that they don't understand. It's not gibberish. Speaking in tongues is actually a language that you shouldn't be able to speak, or normally wouldn't be able to speak. Like all of a sudden screaming in Chinese or something, and you're from Southern England.
That can happen from brain trauma, can't it?
Yes. Yes. It can.
Look at George Michael, for instance, when he had the car crash because he was stoned. When he got better, he spoke with a West Country accent.
Right.
There's I have him
speaking fluent Portuguese after having head injuries.
Yeah.
I have hemiplegic migraines, and there's a lady in Bristol who has the same condition. With my big one, it put me in a wheelchair for 2 years and left me mute for 6 months. With her big one, she's been left with a German accent, which means she can no longer phone for her prescription. She has to collect in person.
Sorry, the cat just literally
all sorts of strange things happen in the brain with migraine and various other conditions.
Right.
And when you're dealing with this kind of stuff,
the cat just nearly gave me a heart attack.
Them in mind.
What happened, Carl?
I was sitting here looking at the screen, and because I've now got myself a washing machine now, I've had to put my freezer in the front room. Out the corner of my eye, I suddenly saw a white streak go across the top of the bloody freezer. Little son, he'd gone out there and pinched the dog's chips. I was just looking up some stuff while Joe was saying about that. Some of the earliest known recorded exorcisms date back to 2100 to 2000 BCE in ancient Sumeria.
Yeah.
So they go back some ways. It says some of the very first exorcism formulas appear as Sumerian incantations, like I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, but the Uduk series, which means evil demon. These texts describe demons causing disease and prescribe prayers and rituals to expel them.
Right.
One of the cases I dealt with that could probably be something other than a grumpy human identified itself as Sumerian.
But then again,
run across that.
These things are, for want of a better word, trying to take the piss out of you. If I came back and I wanted to wind Joe up and make him think he was possessed, I could say I come from Alaska and I've got 3 heads and I'm a demon.
There's only 3 people in Alaska that have 3 heads, so I wouldn't believe you.
I thought it was quite common.
No, I lived there for a long time. I loved it up there. There's only 3 people with 3 heads.
Oh well. Some of the AI has actually been three other things like But I thought it was
well, that would explain the massive influx of women that go up there.
There's a slightly earlier one from 2400 to 2300 BCE. the Arcadian period on a tablet from the city of Nippur, I think that's pronounced. We find short incantations invoking gods like Enki and Ea to drive out possessing spirits. These are considered the very first true exorcism spells.
Mhm.
My mistake. The very first true exorcism spells written down, should I say?
Right.
Yeah.
But it looks like the Sumerian is the earliest, some of the earliest known. So, but if you think about it, back then, even 200 years ago, people wouldn't and like I said, even Prince, and that was only in the 50s or the 60s, they didn't understand epilepsy.
Right.
So 3,000-4,000 years ago, if someone starts convulsing on the floor and writhing around and foam coming out their mouth, they're not going to know the difference.
Even switching sides a bit, one of the old witches' grimoires that I've come across over the years,
cold coffee with no sugar,
has a spell in it which is listed as, in modern terms, for the removal of epilepsy. But when you look at the old Scots it's written in, it's actually for the removal of badness. And it just says badness, doesn't say whether it's bad spirits or whatever. And the modern terminology, they've translated it for the removal of epilepsy. So most grimoires, magic dealings, religious dealings have something along the lines of exorcism, clearance, deliverance, whatever label you want to put on it. So,
right.
With your extensive experience with it, Joe, being as you've dealt with it several times over the years, what percentage of it, these demonic possessions, are mental health related?
That's getting back to Eileen's question from a little bit ago. With the precautions that are taken now, having to get a mental health evaluation, having to get a physical health evaluation, all that kind of stuff, not very many are mental health because they're checked out and they've given the permission. Now, whether it's a real demon that's possessing them, it's completely a different question. There have been many times when somebody has said that they've got a demon in their house. You go in and do the investigation, and they are certain that there's a demon there. And you go in, and it's a ghost. It's just
the worst two for doing that.
Right.
The Warren.
So, well, I don't know if these people have ever heard of Ed and Lorraine, but they'll get in and they'll start talking about having a demon in their house. They're very religious people, so anything out of the ordinary would be a demon. So they've got an infestation, they've got a manifestation, or there's a possession happening.
Yeah.
With that, they think that anything is a demon. They've got something moving in their house. It can't be a poltergeist. It can't be that kind of stuff. Well, yeah, anything evil, of course, in every episode. There's a demon in every episode there.
Eileen's come up with a question. Is possession and exorcism always religion-based? Can evil spirits simply be evil with no religious connotations?
I read that when she first put it up, and I held off thinking about it for a minute. What were you going to say?
I would say yes, there is potential for evil simply being evil with no religious connotations. But when I do clearances, be it houses or people or whatever, I get them to tell me if they have their own faith. Right. Doesn't matter what denomination they are, Sikh, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, whatever label you want to have, and use their faith to fight the thing. Both with me being there and doing stuff, because I've read enough on the majority of religions. I can turn my hand to most when I'm doing clearances.
To be honest with you, at the end of the day, vast majority of religions are all identical anyway. They just work different. Probably.
in a lot of ways.
Different words, different names, but it's to show the person that the thing that they carry in their heart or their head, their faith, they can use that as a self-defense.
Right.
Whether I'm there, whether there's a minister or a priest there or whatever, you know.
I got into a very loud argument on a phone call, a group phone call with my team members who I work with doing this stuff. And I said, I'll tell you this story here in a little bit, but I had one that required an imam to get rid of. So, but I went in and I told these guys on the phone that I had this case coming up this weekend. I'd already been to the house, walked around. I think it's something that this guy brought back from the Middle East. And I'm going to get something that's going to take care of whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I need help.
The
power of Christ is one thing you need.
I heard the meow that seemed to be across in the background.
I heard something then.
I don't have a cat.
No, it was like a person. I was just going to say the way you were.
I thought it was, to me, it sounded like someone giggling or something.
To me, it was like to me it was like a bloke going.
Can you mark that down for us, Joe? You're quite good at that.
I can't find my pen. Oh, here it is.
But I was going to say that Joe's fan being slightly in a different place to usual and blurred out almost looks like a face peeking in at the side, but I know it's
it does actually, yeah.
The fan is off. So
it shows you how much little notes I take. So I've only just noticed your username, so
yeah.
I wish I'd thought of that one.
The thing is, though, I told these people, I said, hey, and we're on this conversation discussing what's going on, our cases, what we need help with and things like that. And the power of Christ is all you need. You don't need to bring in anybody else. Just this. This is all you need to do this. And I said, well, yeah, that may be if I'm working with a Catholic or a Christian or something along the lines. But if I'm going to go in and work with a Jewish family who's having an issue, that ain't going to do anything. Yeah, they're not going to believe it. So we had a big argument. I timed the phone down and I walked off and didn't talk to him for about a couple of days.
You have to have a faith that the person identifies with. It doesn't matter what the thing is. Something that the person identifies to start with.
Right.
And if the thing that you're battling starts coming at you instead of coming at the other person, then you can use whatever denomination best fits it.
Right.
Well, Eileen's commented there, religious belief is only a state of mind brought about by education. Personally, I wouldn't use the word education because
that's why she put it in quotes.
Yeah, I'd say it is brainwashing. You, as we've said already, when you're young, if you tell a child if you touch yourself down there or you do this or you do that, God's watching, he's going to send you to hell.
You get hair on your palms.
Educating them not to do it. You get really bad blisters. Look, it's not.
If you go back to the 50s and you got your elbows on the dinner table.
Oh, I remember when I was a kid, if I put my elbows on the dinner table, my nan or my granddad would hit me with a spoon. Yeah. And then again, nowadays, most kids don't even know what a dinner table's for nowadays.
Right.
It's the homework table.
I haven't used a dinner table in years, except to pile stuff on. I normally will sit here at my desk and eat and read or watch a movie or something, or I'll go downstairs and sit in the living room and watch the big TV for a show or a video.
My dinner table is in my office, and that's when I'm in there. That's what I use to put my laptop on.
I'm sitting at my dinner table.
But I've got a small table downstairs I could use, but it's got stuff on it. So no. But
what was that with Marlene?
Yeah, we already did that one.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to remind myself what she'd said. Can evil simply be evil? Well, I don't. Like I said, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in demons. And if at the end of the day, when I go, there is a God, I'm going to say, well, what the fuck were you doing? Where the hell you
Yeah.
been for the last 3,000 years? You know?
Now,
It's like the kind of thing I'd be. Get to the gates and like, oh, now you show up.
Yeah.
now,
Now that
in
you want to
response
spend
to
eternity kissing your ass, you're showing yourself.
right, I've had a minute to think about her question there. Can evil simply be evil with no religious connotations? Yes, of course it can be. But how do you take care of it? You've got something evil that's not religious based in somebody's house, or trying to possess somebody, or trying to do something with them. How are you going to get rid of it? And then we go back to what Linda was saying a minute ago, and you have to use whatever faith that person has to take care of it, because that's what the person's going to do. It's a lot of it is psychology. It really is. You've got a demon trying to attack you. How are we going to get rid of it? Well, you've got to help me get rid of it.
Christians and Catholics say, oh, there's demons. I'm possessed by a demon, or my house is possessed by a demon. Someone like a Muslim will go, it's a jinn.
Right, exactly.
You know,
exactly.
Different terminology.
That's one thing where I have a massive bugbear with RE at school.
Mm.
We were told about jinns when I was doing RE at school. But we were told they were helpful things, like the story of the massive clay jinn that you wrote the orders on and put it in its mouth.
The golem.
The genie is a jinn.
Yeah.
Not being funny
that's
though.
That's what we were told about when we were at school, and that was the extent of how far we went into any kind of Eastern religion.
But the thing is, basically, that's what the Adam and Eve story is. God made Adam out of the dirt and earth and whispered a prayer into his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Which is the same thing as as people like Aaron Ra and Matt Delahunty say, is a golem spell.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it is exactly the same principle.
Yeah.
For some reason, because I won't use the word indoctrine, but because of the way they've been told growing up, a Christian will deny that. But it is exactly the same thing. It's like the young earth creationists will say, well, you believe it rained on rocks and the rocks became germs and the germs became humans. But they believe in the Adam and Eve story when God put a load of mud together. Well, what is mud? It's just very finely ground stone and rock.
Mm-hmm.
So in every case, it is all just the same. It's just, what's the old saying? Same meat, different gravy.
Yeah.
In principle. But where Eileen was saying about is possession and exorcism always religion based, that reminds me, we mentioned about it a few weeks ago, I think, when we done the a few months ago when we done reincarnation, was the Lorenzi Venum case.
Right.
Yeah.
The young girl that supposedly was possessed.
Mm-hmm.
But that case, it wasn't like possessed and you're going to scratch, you're going to bite, you're going to swear, you're going to spit.
Oh, yeah, it was the daughter of a...
Mm-hmm. So is possession, I think, is like Eileen said, is a lot of it Hollywood based, because when you watch a possession movie, it's always the person's head spinning or they're climbing up walls or they're killing people.
Mm-hmm.
People are putting that into the real world.
Whereas if you look at things like some of the saints, like St. Francis, right? Talking to the birds. Maybe he was possessed. I mean, it's going to sound absolutely stupid, but maybe he was possessed by the spirit of a pigeon that wanted to come back and speak to his brothers. You know? I mean, it's going to sound stupid, but it is a potential, you know?
Sure. Spirits do all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's
we know that as being investigators.
But with that,
Christ, I've had somebody ask me for a date over a Ouija board. I don't know quite how that was going to work, but they asked me.
Interesting.
Or there's that woman in Cornwall that reckons that she married a ghost and that he cheated on her, so she divorced him.
Yeah, the pirate.
Yeah.
But with the can evil simply be evil? Yeah, it's like when people say about colour and things, shit comes in all hues. That don't necessarily just mean skin colour. if you're a good person, you're a good person. If you're a bad person, just because you die, it don't mean, oh, you die and then suddenly you grow wings, you get given a harp and soft slippers.
Yeah, when you die, you get ready for your next life anyway. So if you're
Yeah.
a bad guy in this one, are you going to be a bad guy in the next one? Who knows?
We should have brought
Look
that
at
up in
what
the
lessons you got
reincarnation
to
one,
learn.
actually. Yeah, that's
But that's getting
interesting.
back to the
With the
reincarnation.
costume stuff that I do, I've played a psychopath a few times and I enjoyed it. Back in the tick.
Like, for instance, because I don't believe in God religiously, when I die, I'm automatically going to go to hell. But people like, what's his name, Jeffrey Dahmer, he was a religious person, and all he needed to do, as he was laying in that prison gym dying, was say, "God, I'm coming," basically, or "God, forgive me," and he goes through the pearly gates, gets his wings, gets his sandals, and gets his harp.
You won't automatically go to hell. It's just in the eyes of somebody else's religion that you'll go to hell.
Yeah.
In your eyes, where do you go? Just worm dirt? I mean, that's the question. It's up to you where you go.
Yeah.
It's what you believe in. Because you cannot tell me right now that we've got 8 billion people on this planet. You've got X number of Christians that believe in God and Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
God and the Christians, whatever denomination they are, sit back and say, well, if you don't believe in Christ, you're not going to heaven. Everybody else, 6 billion other people on the planet are all going to hell because they've never been introduced to Jesus. Sorry, no.
I was talking a couple of months back. I was talking to one of these. I was having a debate in one of these religious things, and I think, is it the North Senegalese people that have never had contact with the outside world?
Yep.
So therefore, they've never ever heard of Jesus. They've never ever heard of God or Abraham or David, or
they've got their own thing going on. Yeah,
they've got their own thing going on. And I was told, well, obviously they're going to hell then because they don't follow Jesus. But how can they follow Jesus if they've never had contact with the outside world and heard of the name Jesus?
Right. You got people you got people in Western China who have never, you've got people in Africa that have never heard of Jesus. They've never heard of anybody. Now, there are a lot of people in Africa that have.
Yeah.
I mean, Ethiopia and places like that, certainly. But
vast majority isn't.
It brings to mind one of my favorite comebacks when I come across a particularly bitter, twisted, nasty Christian, usually from across the pond. Sorry, Joe, not including you in this.
But there's nothing more hateful than Christian love. I've said that for years.
Well, you know the kind, like they see the name of my stall and they're like, "Oh, false prophet, you're going to hell."
Yep.
And my favorite comeback to that is, "No, I'm not, honey. That's a Christian construct, and I'm nothing to do with Christians." Cheerio.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. I mean, I do a lot of investigations and stuff, and most of it is in the Christian world.
Yeah.
And but I've heard a lot of not nice things being said by Christians, and I don't understand why.
I have to put the thing here that it's not just Christians. That every religion on the planet, there is always, it doesn't matter whether it's religion, politics, day job, whatever, there's always one bad apple that spends its whole day spouting acid.
Right. No, you're exactly right.
Out of 10, though, it's 9 times out of 10, it's 9 of them that are spitting the acid, and it's the one that isn't.
Unfortunately, nowadays, yeah.
And it seems to be, and I have noticed there's been a real increase in this end of the world doomsaying sort of shit that's been coming about lately.
Yeah, I've noticed
really be on increase.
So did you guys hear about the group of nuns in France here that were exorcised?
No.
I did hear a wee something about an entire abbey or an entire convent was supposed to be possessed.
Yeah. between 1632 and 1634, quite a while ago here in lovely France. And the Loudun nuns is what this one is called. A convent of Ursuline nuns accused priest Urbain Grandier of bewitching them. So they were bewitched by a priest. The nuns displayed public fits, levitation, and blasphemous acts. Grandier was burned at the stake after a forged devil's pact was presented. The trouble began in 1632 per a contemporary account reprinted in the Penguin Book of Exorcisms.
The Penguin Book of Exorcisms.
Yeah, that's kind of what I said when I read about it. Penguin Publishers, probably. But okay, so that's when the hotshot priest Urbain Grandier rolled into the French town of Loudun. People either went wild for the intelligent, compelling, and very uncelibate Grenadier, uncelibate, or they hated him. They either loved him or they hated him. When some of the local nuns began experiencing supposedly demonic activity in September 1632, and when some began working the priest into their visions, the priest's enemies saw an opening. They took over and grabbed him, said he's been working with the devil, and they burned him at the stake. But there had to be an exorcism for the nuns because they were all doing crazy stuff too. But it's kind of interesting how they would get the whole group of nuns and do them. I love that book.
Yeah, we'll go into that.
Is that not one of the stories that they loosely incorporated in the Valak, the nun?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought that's where I'd heard it before.
It was, I can't remember the full date because, to be honest with you, I weren't really taking much notice. But there was one similar. It was either France or Germany. There was a school that had something similar happened. And supposedly, literally all the pupils in the school got possessed by demons. And that was a Catholic
There was a school in Thailand recently shut down because 15 girls started having fits and they thought they were possessed and they shut the whole school. That was in Thailand. That was last year or 23 or 24.
Wow. But we'll go. I didn't mean to bring the picture straight up, but we got the this one. As Joe said, the book he loved. I'd love to have a look at this. I really would.
Me too. I'd love to go in and see it.
I would absolutely. It's known as the Devil Bible. Supposedly, the priest was possessed by the devil, and he wrote that whole book in one night.
Right.
Wow. Long night.
Yeah. Well. He wrote it in one night. Supposedly, he was locked up in a cell. And he wasn't allowed to leave until the book was written. So he was possessed, and that was it.
Yep. Supposedly he wrote. Sharon's here.
Did your ear touched?
Yeah.
Every time you do that, I want to go tickle, tickle, tickle.
Oh, he knows I don't like my head, especially my ears being touched. Oh, little sod. I know you're here. The Devil's Bible, though, they've in more. I can't think. I think it was 2016. I think it was looked into, and they got a handwriting expert to look at it, and the handwriting expert has said 90% guarantee the handwriting is exactly the same, indicating one person writ the whole book.
Right,
Wow.
but it didn't have to be in one night.
No, obviously not. There's the size of that. There's no way to write that in one night.
Well, unless you believe the story, and the devil possessed him, and he went, 300 miles an hour writing. But who knows? Who knows? It's got to be over the course of.
Go try it. You might go get your book finished.
Right.
Give it a try. You've been trying for 5 years to get this last one out.
Yeah, well, but it's finished. It's done.
Oh, yeah, it's finally finished. Oh, excellent.
It's finally done. And getting some goddamn mosquito. I've got my window open, and they don't have a lot of screens here in France. So, you open up some windows. My poor son, I was back there cutting the weeds and stuff in the back terrace.
Yeah.
and getting the stuff out of there, clean it up a little bit the other day. I was about eaten by mosquitoes.
Oh.
And my poor son has got his window right there. So he keeps everything closed up all the time and keeps his fan on just so he's not eaten by mosquitoes. They don't like my blood with my blood thinners and all the meds that I'm on. So they don't bother me too much. They'll land, but they won't do very much.
The amount of tattoos I've got on, and I get bitten galore. Hiding the kids.
I'm one of the lucky ones. I get bitten once every 10 years or so.
Yeah, I don't get it very
Whereas
often.
my mum just looks out the window and she gets a midgie bite.
So the one I needed the imam for was north of LA a little bit, and this guy called me and said he was having all sorts of crazy things happening in his house. And I'm thinking, okay, it's a haunting, not a big deal. So I go over there and we're walking around the house, and it's just a little townhouse. It's got, I think, 2 bedrooms upstairs, a bathroom upstairs. Downstairs got a kitchen, a little living room, and a little bathroom and a storage area for laundry and that kind of thing. Not very big place, little townhouse, very nice. But you walk in, and I immediately felt something, but I didn't recognize it. Didn't know what it was. So I'm walking through the house, and we go upstairs, and his bedroom, there's just energy coming up from his bed, going straight up through the ceiling. And you can't feel it downstairs below his bed, but from under the bed, straight up through the ceiling, there's just like energy shooting straight up. It's like, wow.
Well, a vortex, man.
Yeah, kind of like a vortex. And I'm like, this is really weird. So I'm walking around all over the place, and what is that dinging? Okay, so I'm walking around, and I don't feel anything what it is. It's not like a ghost where you feel used to be a human. It's not something like that. It's something that's never been alive. Is what it feels like. So I was kind of like, oh, wow, I'm not sure what's going on here. So I went through and I did a blessing, and I did a bunch of stuff trying to make this work. And we were talking the whole way through. He'd been in Afghanistan and Iraq and Kuwait and all that kind of stuff. And I'm starting to form an idea in my head going, oh, maybe he brought something back with him. So, okay. So I said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to call the Catholic Church right down the street from where you're at. They call the Catholic Church, and they're going to call you and set up an appointment to come down and go through and bless the house, have a priest go through and bless the house for you. Just let's see if that works, because it's still there after I'm done. And I'm like, let's bring in some more bigger guns. So we do this, and I call the church, and I say, okay, great. And I say, he's only half a mile down the road. I mean, the priest could walk there in no time at all. Yeah. So they're like, yeah, no problem. So they call him up, and they do the appointment on a Friday. And the priest walks in, goes through the living room, goes upstairs, turns around, comes right back downstairs, out the door, and says, I can't do this. And that was it. He went back to church and never talked to him again. So it's kind of like, okay. So I go back, and we're talking about this, going, okay, this has got to be something. Tell me more about where you were and what you were doing. Did you go any places that were holy to the people that are there? Anything that's, that's sacred? Any place? Did you go through cemeteries? Did you go through temples? Did you go through?
You just said,
So they did. They went through and visited a few places like temples and things like that.
Linda, sorry, what was that, Linda?
109 and 10 to 15 seconds. Somebody went, but I didn't see your lips move or anything.
I'll check it back. Yeah, sorry, Joe.
So I got back, and my neighbor downstairs, cat corner from me in my apartment that I was living in at the time, they were Muslim. So I went over and I said, hey, I need to talk to an imam. Can you introduce me to somebody? And they said, sure, no problem. So I talked to this imam. We got our stuff.
Aileen heard it as well.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I'm I go and I talk to the imam, and we set up a time to go to this guy's house, and he goes in and says, "Oh, it's a jinn," and we get it all set up, and the guy says that the imam goes through and he does his blessings and he does his whole ritual, his whole thing that's going on there, and you could just feel the energy dropping when he was done. So it's done, it's gone, everything is gone, it's cleared up. And that was it. That was the end of the case.
Oof.
Going back to this guy was a Christian, but he brought something with him from the Middle East, and that something of that area, that faith of that area, was the only thing that we could use to get rid of it, which I thought was kind of an interesting thing. That's why I went back and I talked to my coworkers and I said, or my colleagues, and said, "Hey, yeah, see, this is how this happened." Even after the Catholic priest, and he left, he wouldn't even finish. So
the thing I don't understand is, though, I can see to the point that if a Christian, a Catholic, a Muslim, Sikh, whatever, are taught these things about the negative sides of these negative things and all that, it's going to be in their head. And if there's anything evil, they're going to be walking through a room and go, "Oh, that person believes in demons. I'm going to attach myself." I can understand that. But why? Because the original concept of demons was the same as trying to think how to word it without being offensive or anything. But basically, original demons were neither good nor evil. It's the Christian church that decided that demons were evil. The original concept of demons is they were neutral. They were neither good nor bad. If somebody wanted to call on them to do good, they would do good. If someone would call on them to do bad, they'd do bad. Like you said to me before, in years in the past, witchcraft is not black or white; it's intent.
Right, it's the intent of what you're using it for. Sure.
Why did the Christians go, "Oh no, this embodied spirit has got to be evil"? Why?
Don't know. It's just how people are. Anything you don't understand is evil.
To me, it's like the whole point of Christianity. For years, they was going, even up until even just like a couple of 100 years ago, if you give me a year's worth of wage, we can have 4 priests standing at your nan's grave 3 times a day saying prayers. And when people realised, hold on a minute, they're getting more money than we can afford. Well, if you don't give us your money, you can go to a really horrible place.
Yeah.
Look, as I mentioned about the like Bury St Edmunds, the monks there, they were richer than the king. The monks of Bury St Edmunds, they got that blatant. They were sexually abusing women and children in the middle of the town in broad daylight, until eventually the town went, right, that's it, we've had enough, and they tried setting fire to the cathedral. But it's all money. Oh, you've got to let us sexually abuse your wife or sexually abuse your daughter or your son, or otherwise you're going to go to hell.
Yeah, and there were always indulgences too. You could sit back and pay for an indulgence and get your sins wiped away. The more you paid, the closer you were to heaven.
Yeah. There's multiple cases, and a lot of Christians and Catholics and that will deny this, but there's multiple accounts, even written down, that if you give X amount of money, we can 100% guarantee that your nan's going to go through the pearly gates and be there with wings
the medieval church. That's how the medieval church functioned.
Yeah.
It was normal, everyday stuff. That's why when you go into any medieval church, poor dude Joe Bloggs is at the end of the cemetery with a wee wooden cross if you're lucky. And Mr. Moneybags has got an intramural tomb in the high altar of the cathedral, because Mr. Moneybags, his family, gave
gorgeous. Yeah, exactly, Eileen.
Yeah.
Yep. And a lot of your popes, the Borgias, et cetera, came in and they wanted to make money. They wanted their families to become rich. So a lot of them did things to bring money into the coffers, et cetera, et cetera. Then you had the French popes when it started off with Clement V. He was the first French pope, and there were popes here in Avignon for 100 years. And then they went back to Rome. They did their thing there. But it's kind of...
And with like the religious based aspect of it, going back to when we were talking, we done the witchcraft through history and the witch trials and all of that. Linda was saying there was one up in Scotland that was getting 30 shillings a head, and there was one down here in like Essex, Suffolk area that was getting 50 shillings a head.
Yeah, witch hunters. Yeah.
That is absolutely ridiculous money back then.
Yeah.
I think Joe worked it out at something like £20,000 a person.
Yeah.
So you're gonna kill people in the name of God, whether he's real or not.
Right. Oh yeah.
For doing it.
And think about it this way: all the witch trials and things like that. I think every single one of them was innocent.
Yeah.
Because do you think a witch would allow herself or himself to be caught?
Yeah, exactly. If they had the powers they said they had, none of them would have been killed.
Right. So they all had to be innocent for the most part. They had to be innocent of the crime of witchcraft. They could have been guilty of all sorts of other things.
Yeah.
You know.
And the fact like Matthew Hopkins charged Ipswich Town £1,000 back then to get rid of the witches. You know, all in the name of God and for the church. Even though he didn't have no affiliation with the church, but it was done in the name of God and for the church. It's money based. So all of that.
Our local one was only basically taking Hopkins as 1,000. Our local one was getting 100.
Yeah. You know, and Hopkins, I don't think it's not buried that far away from me. Actually, I keep meaning to go to the grave, but I've never been. But does that show even more proof that things like demons don't actually exist?
You know, there's been 2 cases that I've worked where I know there was something demonic going on. The first one was the case I told you about with a girl. That turned out to be wild and crazy, but she refused to get the mental and physical evaluations. So the case is still open, still going on today, unless something's changed, you know, somebody else has gone in and worked. But while I was there in Cali in Arizona, nothing, absolutely nothing. She refused to do it.
But I've seen documentaries and I've read books and things like that, and in some of them cases, people find it less of a stigma to say that they're possessed by a demon than it is to say they've got schizophrenia or something, or bipolar or something.
I've had a couple like that. I had one, I think I already discussed this one. There was all sorts of craziness going on in the house, things flying across the room and so on and so forth.
I heard about that, Alan.
And it turned out, I did 3 or 4 visits to this one because I wasn't convinced. And in the finish up on the 4th visit, I did the house and I wasn't finding, normally when it's a something else, whether it's a grumpy ex-human or something that never lived, you can feel it's a something.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas there was none of that coming off of this house, of the people who lived in it or anything. And I sat the parents down and had a chat again and said to them, you know, we need to tackle this in a few ways. And I've actually done this with another lady who was very, very similar. I'm like, you're fighting from inside. I'm fighting from outside.
Get a glass of water quickly.
But I think we need to get your GP to help you, to give you that little bit of extra strength to fight from inside. And basically, what I was hinting at was getting some kind of mental evaluation from their GPs. And
Right.
in both cases, they did eventually go to the doctor. And in both cases, once they got their medication, 6-7 weeks down the line after starting the medication, the houses were all quiet. So I have had a couple. I mean, one of them, I think, genuinely was poltergeist energy being generated by two members of the family because they were that stressed and they couldn't act out on the stress. But the other one, I think the other one was actually more in need of the mental health help than anything I could do. But all I could do was help her provide herself with that mental barbed wire to keep anything that's not to do with her away from her.
So
So
I'll take a glass of
until
water.
she
My
got to
levels
the
are fine.
GP and got treatment.
I'll
So-
take a glass of water because my levels are rising again. So, question from Eileen: what religion is Joe ordained in?
Protestant Catholic or Protestant Christianity is generally it, but I have more beliefs than that. Like I believe in reincarnation on top of that stuff because it just makes sense to me. There's some Buddhist principles I throw in because it makes sense to me. It's just not, I'm not cut and dry this because I'll read about stuff and I'll say, oh, that makes sense. And
Well, you don't have to be religious to be spiritual, do you? So
correct.
Well, that's
Correct.
it. I mean, when I do clearances, I used to have a running joke that I do all sorts from the ancient Egyptian rituals right up to Roman Catholic, including a wee bit of Druidic, a wee bit of Buddhist, Taoist, and even a little bit of Vodun now and again.
Oh, yeah. I had a case with some voodoo Vodun that was kind of an interesting case. It was just the lady across the street hated the family that I was trying to help. And she had been casting voodoo Vodun spells on the family. And I started walking through the yard and you'd find things in the hedge around there near their house, find little devices that she had made and stuck there. It's like, okay. So, yeah.
The thing is, though,
started asking questions, came up with a fix that made the lady across the street happy that, we cared enough and she stopped doing it. So,
thing is, though, do things like that work only if you believe they work?
Yes, Eileen, exactly. Like a big Venn diagram.
Yeah.
I could never find any religion that covered everything that I liked.
Yeah.
So I sort of started one that covered a lot of it and added on.
I usually say I'm a pick and mix.
Yeah.
I suppose I'd call myself a Heinz 57.
Exactly.
I'm a mix of everything.
I work with people in the Roman Catholic Church. I work with people in the Old Catholic Church. They split because of the Latin being used and not being used. When they went to English, they said, no, sorry, we're sticking with Latin. And I work with them a lot. And then I work with other denominations for deliverances and, just whatever.
It's like, I mean, my chat name for tonight was done as a joke, but as far as I'm concerned, for clearances, deliverances, exorcisms, I keep getting told, oh, but you have to be a priest. No, you don't.
No, you don't.
You have to have 100% faith.
Apparently, Linda, coffee enemas do good clearances.
Oh, no thanks.
The rule is, though, for an exorcism on a person, you need to be a Catholic priest.
Yeah.
Because exorcism is a Catholic thing.
Yeah.
So it's like be a Catholic priest to do your exorcism on a person.
The one I've done that would be most like an exorcism.
Right.
Most of what I was doing was Indian, a mixture of both Sikh and Islam.
Right.
and a little bit of the other one whose name I can never remember, and also some of the ancient Egyptian stuff and a lot of Druidic Celtic stuff. So I wasn't doing the Roman Catholic on that particular one, and that's the only one I would actually class as an exorcism, because I came away from every meeting except the last one with that person with wounds. I got burns, I had scratches, I was slapped across the face while he was sitting in my living room, and he saw it and heard it and saw the imprint on my face afterwards and stuff.
Yeah.
See, now,
I've always said you don't have to have a particular denomination. You just have to have 100% faith in something.
Yeah.
And that something is your shield.
Right. You believe in yourself, you set your shield, and you go.
That's it.
We had a case in California. It was like 90 miles away from LA, so it's not another LA case. But these people thought that they had a demon in their house, and they did have something. But it was an older couple. They were divorced. She lived in San Diego. He lived up here in this area. And they started using EVP recorders. They were in their 60s, and they started using EVP recorders to talk to their mom and dad, and their grandparents, and they'd go in there and start talking. Well, they did this for a couple of years, talking to these things and listening to the responses. And pretty soon something comes back and says, "Oh, you don't need those recorders anymore. We'll just talk to you directly."
Okay.
And the guy starts freaking out when that happened. And I got a call through the organization, and he says, "I think there's something bad going on here." And I said, "Explain." So he did. Went up there, walked around the house, and there's something in the house. It wasn't demonic because my stomach didn't go crazy. I didn't start getting, my stomach wasn't flipping and I wasn't feeling the normal. That's a demonic thing. It was just a ghost or something there, spirit of some sort. But it was dragged in by these people doing the EVP recordings. So he did them all the time at his house, and she did them all the time at her house. And when they got together, they'd sit there and compare notes and talk, and it would bring everything all together. And it was just mighty crazy. So we wound up going through and cleaning the house out and got everything done. Went through a lot of holy water that night. We got a lot of stuff done and fixed, and told them, "Put your EVP recorders away. Don't use them anymore. Don't use a Ouija board. Don't use a pendulum. Don't use any communications with the spirit at all. Don't. Stay away from it."
Where do you, a lot of these alleged demonic cases, 9 times out of 10, I'd say, or maybe 7 times out of 10, when I've read about them or I've researched them or whatever, just for shits and giggles, most of the time, the person reporting this so-called the demon that's inside them or their house has a demon or whatever, it's normally reported as a child. Now, the concept being is a person is more likely to be drawn in by a child because a child's more innocent and blah, blah, blah. But where do you think the concept that came from? As if I explained that right.
Oh, no.
When I encounter a child in the paranormal world, and I run across a lot of them, they come up and they hold my hand and they hold my pant leg. You can feel them down there, and they tug on my coat, and I can't hear them most of the time. I can't. Occasionally there'll be a high, something like that, but then I don't hear anything else out of them. But I feel, they're holding my hand or tugging my coat. So I turn around and what is that? Try to see that kind of stuff. I see all of those as kids, as actual children. But there's a lot of people who say that there are no children. It's all demons trying to trick you into believing that it's a child so you relax and be able to become under their control. So I think demon stuff is very seldom. I think it's very rare. I
Yeah.
cannot think that there's demons everywhere attacking people. It's extremely rare. And
No, I only
You
ever
know,
seen one Zach Bagans.
yeah, it's like there's not a demon in every episode.
Mm.
Sorry, it just doesn't happen that way.
Awesome.
Did you get bad news, Linda?
No, I was I was sneakily trying to take a photo of the cat without her noticing because she's laid on the
She's
floor.
watching she's watching us on telly.
Who, the cat?
Yeah. That's hilarious. I can see the concept. It's like not everyone, but majority, as a rule, adults, their maternal instinct to go, oh, there's a child, I've got to help them. So if there's anything you call demonic, if they show themselves as a child, then you're going to help them. You're going to want to help them.
Right, you're going to be more relaxed.
I'm just wondering where the concept for that came from. Did it come from religion, or was it just somebody sitting down one day going, do you know what? I wonder if a demon's a child.
I've just had a random brainwave on that, and it may be entirely wrong. Could we potentially track that idea back to when it started being revealed that certain religious people were abusing children? So that was their way of painting children's spirits as being evil to balance.
No word of a lie, right?
Potential.
I was watching one of my apologetic videos last week. It was Matt Dillahunty and Forrest Vale guy, and they had a pastor, however you pronounce it, come up and talk to him to try and prove that God was real. And Matt Dillahunty is like really onto the abuse of children and like the slavery part.
Yeah.
The pastor said God allows children to be SA'd because it teaches them loyalty to him. A pastor said that.
In what way would that make you loyal?
He needs dragged down an alleyway.
Yeah, with 4 horses.
Yeah.
And there's another one, Matt Powell, who's Joe will probably know of him. He's the protege of Kent Hovind. Yeah, and he said, yes, that's perfectly fine that happens to children. And he said this on a live interview that the government needs to gather up every gay person in the world, line them up, and put a bullet through their head because they're an abomination to God.
No, they need to do that with the pedos. Sorry.
Which is ironic because one of Kent Hovind's friends that lives in DLA done 9 years in prison for that particular offence. And he lives on a campus site of Dinosaur Adventureland that has families with children living there. As I said,
my inner jukebox has just started playing Gary Glitter.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I've heard religious people on these apologetics saying that things like slavery and essay on children is not demonic. It's part of God's need. Why would
I would be asking them, excuse the language, what fucking book are you reading?
Yeah, exactly. So there's an exorcism here. A lady named Emma Schmidt, USA, 1928.
I've heard of that one. I know the name.
I've heard that name somewhere. Exactly, Arlene.
So she was a 46-year-old woman named Emma Schmidt. She endured a 23-day exorcism, if you can believe that. In 1928, she vomited impossible quantities of macaroni and tea leaves. Interesting combination. Okay. It's said that she levitated to the ceiling and claimed possession by her abusive father and Beelzebub.
Yeah, they were drinking
why
buddies.
do people link Beelzebub with Satan? Because it's a completely different deity.
Yeah.
Thank you. So many people make that thing with me, and I'm like, no.
Totally different. But her abusive father and Beelzebub. So if you throw the abusive father bit in, that sort of covers a lot about what would happen and why she would be feeling this way, where she would need an exorcist. I think, because the abuse is, depending on what the abuse was, if it was just smacking her around a bit every once in a while, well, I don't know, but when is that ever the end?
I remember seeing.
If possessions are, I don't know, schizophrenia, bipolar, BPD, DID, or whatever it may actually be, that's been undiagnosed, surely going through the exorcism will actually make the person think even more that they're possessed, because you're not going to have a priest in your house throwing holy water over you and saying prayers to you if you haven't got a demon. Surely, a lot of the time, exorcisms are actually worse for people if it is a mental health condition.
Well, that's entirely why you have to have the mental assessment nowadays.
They didn't always do the mental assessment, though.
Yeah.
That's a more recent thing. That's
Yeah.
like 70s.
I was about to say, was it 70s or 80s?
Since everybody started suing everybody for everything, yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Father Theophilus Reisinger.
Even being left-handed, you would be getting accusations like that thrown at you right up into the 1950s.
My late adoptive mum, she was left-handed, and although it weren't, you're obviously possessed by demons or any of that sort of thing, but back then at schools, if you was left-handed and you wrote with left hand, you'd get a ruler or something across your hands.
Yeah.
But before that, it's
one of my exes had a parent that did that to him because he was left-handed to start with, but now he's not.
Now, with that being left-handed and it being demonic, is that because the good sit on the right-hand side of God?
Yep.
And the Italian word for left is sinistre.
Mm-hmm. Sinister, yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't know that. See,
sinistre.
I've said to you for years, Linda, you teach me so many new things.
She's very, very good at that. For that lady, our Emma Schmidt lady.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the breaking of the exorcism. On December 23rd, the final day of the exorcism, Father Reisinger commanded the demons in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, through the intercession of the Blessed Virgin Mary, to depart to hell. Eklund collapsed on her bed and began to shriek, Beelzebub, Judas, Jacob, Mina, followed by hell, hell, hell. She opened her eyes and then she spoke with her own voice, saying, My Jesus, mercy, praised be Jesus Christ. Reisinger's exorcism was reportedly successful, and Eklund only exhibited milder and quite manageable possessions after it. Her true identity was kept protected in written accounts for many years. She died at age 59, in 1960. Wait a minute, what is this? Emma Schmidt died on July 23rd, 1941 at age 59.
That's quite young.
Yeah. But she was 46 when this happened, so she had a few years of a better life, I guess.
Yeah.
And she went. But that was kind of interesting how she's like, after 23 days, she finally does this and it goes back in her right voice. And
see, now you saying that about what she yelled out, to me, that just sounds like somebody that's heard a load of words in a church or read it in a book or something, and they sound, because anyone that's supposedly is possessed by a demon, they can go Beelzebub, meaning the devil, are they?
Yeah.
If it's a YouTube video that came out in the last, if it's a YouTube video that came out in the last 3 months, it's Azazel.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if it's Bohemian Rhapsody, they talk about Beelzebub in there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
but got that put aside for me.
as Freddie said in an interview, he just literally used that word because he likes the sound of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it fit the rhythm too.
Yeah.
Beelzebub.
Mm-hmm. And the fact I listened to that song for how many years until 2023 when I found out what Bismillah means.
I don't think I want to know.
In the name of Allah.
Yeah.
Is what it means.
Now, this is a former convent in Norwich.
Wow.
Yeah, impressive building. However, it's, as far as I know, it's completely empty. It's not been used in decades.
Ooh, PM me the address. I'll go and find a way in.
It's not that far, all that far from the cathedral, to be honest, because Norwich is, at one point, was that religious. You could go to a different church every single day of the year.
It's like where I live when we had a population.
At one point, Norwich had 360 churches in it. Now,
in the early 1300s, when Elgin had a population of 3,000 and existed of 4 streets, we had the cathedral, 4 friaries, and 12 churches.
Christ.
Literally, it was Butlins for Holy Willies.
In Dunwich, at one point, before it all went into the sea, there was actually 12 churches in the place, and there was only about 1,000 people that lived there.
Yeah.
So, and the thing is,
it's probably another one that was on the Pilgrim's Path, the same as Elgin. Then
they were all Christian churches.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it?
Up until 1560, everything in Scotland was Catholic anyway. So we had 12 Catholic churches, a cathedral, and 4 friaries.
Yeah.
A population of 3,000, and you probably reckon 2,500 of them are monks.
No, that's not that. Or actually, to the top left of that picture, you can actually see parts of the old city wall there. People actually started settling in Norwich over 3,500 years ago.
Yeah,
they started walling up. Now the cathedral was closed down mostly because the nuns were sexually assaulting all the local children and the orphans that were living there, and was using the child being possessed as an excuse.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's a thing that was repeated many, many times in many places, unfortunately.
Yeah. I can't remember. I know it wasn't that long ago it closed. Hang on. I can't remember exactly when it was. Let me just check and remind myself. It was dissolved in 1539. So that's been sat there since the 1500s and not being used.
Wow.
As far as, actually, I don't think.
If I had the money.
Cool.
Gotcha. I found a former monastery in Eastern, over by the Swiss border, in France. It was absolutely glorious. 27,000 square feet of space, and they want 280,000 euros for it.
That's not bad, really.
13 acres surrounds the place. It's pretty big, though. Could you see heat in it?
Well, that's it. It's like I always remember for a while, one of the castles that everybody goes to in England for the ghost hunts, the wifey that owned it.
Apparently, that nunnery's residential properties now.
Yeah. When she got the castle, it was... When she got the castle,
live there, sorry.
Yeah. When the wifey got the castle, it was basically there was only one room that was wind and waterproof, and that was the old staff kitchen. And she lived in that room for the first 15 years she was in that place, raising money from the ghost hunts that she was allowing to come onto the property to do the place up room by room and fix it. She's still only halfway there, but that's still not bad. And the kitchen that is still wind and waterproof doesn't actually have a fireplace, so she's got the aga and the gas burners on all the time on the two cookers that are in there.
Wow.
So ultimately, exorcisms, are they getting rid of evil spirits? Are they mental health conditions, or are they just brainwashing from indoctrination?
The combination of the first two, I think.
Yeah.
Because your exorcism is going to be an exorcism, or it's going to be a deliverance, or it's going to be a this or a that. It's based on what faith you believe in. So every faith is going to teach you the faith as you grow up, or as you convert. You're going to learn what that's about. So if you call it brainwashing or just education, about the faith in the church and what's going on. So that's just part of it. But a lot of it is your belief and what you've got going on and what's happening around you. Because you could say it's mental, but if you've got something being thrown where you're getting scratched, or you're winding up with bruises or scratches all over you, or things like that, that's really not mental illness.
No. But you can get like people that go into like places supposed to be haunted by demons, and when I was in there I got scratched. You're in a dark place that you don't know very well. There could be a bit of rough paintwork on the wall. There could be the door frame could be slightly splintered. There could be something sticking out of a couch.
Sure.
You really don't know.
The one
sorry.
No, that's okay. The one that really gets me is I was wearing a sweater and a heavy canvas coat. It was cold outside, and we were doing an investigation someplace. And I'm walking around, and through that shirt, sweater, and heavy canvas jacket, I've got scratches on my belly and my chest.
Yep.
So I don't think splinters on a door frame are going to do that. And there's nothing wrong with the clothing. There's no scratches there. It's just underneath. I've got these scratches.
But as Linda said, that don't necessarily make it demonic.
No. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying I've got scratches being in that location.
I've had a few Covenanters.
Look at the other. Sorry, Joe said about that. It made me think. I walked into Heidi's place the other week, and I sent you the picture of it. Out of nowhere, I had 3 scratches appear on my neck, and then I had teeth marks appear in my leg.
Yeah. And they're always talking about the 3 scratches being demonic. Look at your hand. These 3 fingers are longer than these, than all the rest of them. So if somebody's going to come scratch, you're going to get mostly 3 scratches. The 3 strongest fingers, right there, and they're going to go. So the demonic.
And likewise with an animal, it's the same 3 digits that get you.
But that happened to me in Heidi's. That's in 9 years. That's the first time that's ever happened.
The only scratches and things I've had, the Covenanters prison at Greyfriars Cemetery, I had a warm patch appear on my back, which was quite nice because it was January and we were in there the whole night. And when I got back to the hotel, jumped in the shower, I jumped out my skin. I had a scratch deep enough to draw blood from the base of my hairline at the back of my neck all the way down to the crack in my ass. And because we were outside in a cemetery in January in Scotland, I had 2 T-shirts, a sweatshirt, a woolly jumper, and 2 jackets on.
Some men pay good money for that sort of thing.
And another one in one of the cells in Derby Jail. Somebody had been picking on one of the skinny little women that was there.
Mm.
And I went in and called them all the names under the sun. They said, come on then, pick on somebody your own size.
And they did.
I got a nosebleed and a black eye, but without feeling anything.
Yeah. we were in the oldest house in Stratford upon Avon.
Mm.
Mm.
And it's just big, long building, 2 stories, the ground floor and the first floor. And we were on a ghost tour. My friend Sean said, "Oh, let's go." And I said, "Yeah, let's go." So we paid, we bought our tickets, went out, had some dinner, came back at 7, walked in. It was getting dark outside. And of course, we met in the gift shop. And I was thinking, oh, great. Yay, buy something and we can do this. But gift shop was closed down. We walked up the stairs. They were telling us about where they used to hang people right there on the stairs because there was enough of a drop. You could do that. And then we listened to the stories, came up, walked on the first floor there. And as soon as we walked through the doorway, we go through there and I feel like I've been punched right here, right below my eye. Just a bam, like a big old punch. I turned to Sean and I said, "Oh my God, it just hurt really bad under my eyes."
Is that the one, Joe?
Maybe.
That's the one. Google reckons that's the oldest house in Stratford upon Avon.
It's got something funky about the left side, energy-wise.
Mm.
Yeah. But
if I look at the left-hand corner of it, I start getting pain in my eye.
There should be, unless the other side has it, but there should be a courtyard here on this side. And that courtyard should be there, and there's other buildings around it. So you had to walk down an alleyway to get there, a covered alleyway to get to the building itself. But I can probably find it right here on the map to give you the right name.
You might be able to find it easy because obviously you've been there. So obviously, mind you, then again, this one, I don't know if this is the same building. Well, if it is, I'd love to go to this if it is.
But we're up there, and I got punched, like bam, right in my eye socket, and it was really painful. And
I remember when I got a kidney punch, that hurt like hell, and there was no one around me.
This one was really painful. And we get all the way through, and I'm talking to Sean about it. And of course, we've got meters and we've got stuff, and we're freaking everybody on the tour out because things are going off.
I'm not sure if that's the same building.
And as we're going along, that looks more like it. I'm looking.
That the way it say
that is the same building.
Yeah,
that's the same building.
The archway.
Angle. Yeah.
But we walk along the whole first floor level, and we start, listening to all the stories, and then we come down the staircase, and as soon as my foot hit the ground level, the pain went away. There was no more pain at all.
That is a stunning building. I would love to go. Absolutely love to go there. Eileen said, I remember her saying that she before that she lived in Norwich. You'll know where the nunnery is, that the convent is there, or you should be able to remember anyway. Right. So next week, where are we going next week?
Any suggestions from the Rogues Gallery?
Yeah, come in handy. I know we've got I'll do like the usual thing of putting the poll up, and hopefully Ian will be back. Eileen does remember what it is. I'll probably do the poll as usual anyway, but I quite like the idea of real life vampire and werewolf cases. I really do like the idea of that.
That opens the vampire thing alone. I can think of that linking into at least 2 other subjects. Thinking of the two more famous people that I can think of that identify as vampires.
Are you on about Tepesh and Battery?
Are
you on about Tepesh and Battery?
No.
Oh,
I'm on about people that are alive now.
Oh, okay.
One of which is quite high up in the Satanic Church, if you can call it such a thing.
Yeah. Well, there's the two forms of that, isn't there? In fairness, though, I know, just out of curiosity, I know into it. It's surprising what the TST does for charity. The amount they do is unbelievable. They build homes for the veterans. They've got crisis centres for rape victims and child abuse victims. They do more in America for charity than the church does.
Oh yeah, one of my former
like
students,
the Hells Angels biker clubs.
Satanist.
Sorry.
No, one of my former students was a Satanist, and he was like 16, telling me about what he believes in and all this. And we're on a break between classes, and I'm sitting there listening to him, going, "Cool," And still to this day, he'll come up and just, "Hey, how you doing?" And we chat for a little while, and he's telling me all the stuff he's doing. It's awesome. You do what you want to do, kid.
So it's when I have the arguments with the Christians, they go, "Well, if you don't believe in God, you must believe in Satan." I'm like, if I don't believe in one deity, why would I believe and worship the other?
Right.
It's like,
why is Satan the bad guy? In the Bible, Satan only kills 10 people, and 10 of those 10 are only 10 that God have told him to kill.
It's funny how people see things. I mean, one of my tours I used to do dressed as a nun. And this one night I was coming past a massive pile of teenagers, and they were all under the influence of one thing or another, and a few things. And this last came running over to me, and she must have been all of 12 if she was a day. And bear in mind, I'm dressed as a nun. And she comes up to me and she's like, "What's it like being a virgin?" And I turn around and I says, "You tell me, darling, it'll be a much more recent memory for you than it is for me." And she was absolutely gobsmacked. She's like, "You can't be a nun if you're not a virgin." And I'm like, "Honey, you need to read some more books."
I remember years back when I was in my early 20s, I went through my goth stage. That's when I actually had hair. I had my hair quite long. I had the corpse paint on, the black fingernails, the black toes.
I can see that.
The band t-shirts, the usual thing, the St. Peter's Cross and all of that. And I was walking through Elm Hill, which is near Romford, and the priest was walking along and saw me going up to, or vicar or whatever they were, he had the collar on anyway. He literally went like that, crossed himself, then crossed over the road.
Oh, ridiculous. I go up and talk to you.
But then I realised the whole point of being goth is being different from everyone else.
Yeah.
But you're dressed the same. People wearing exactly the same t-shirt I was. So that kind of spoiled it for me.
It's the whole people crossing the road. Remember that stupid clown phase that everybody went through? I had been doing the witches tour, and I had given up using the nun's costume because the majority of nuns, if not all of them, are Catholic, and of course the witch trials was not the Catholic Church, it was the Protestant Church. So I changed it, so I was just all in black with a long suit jacket like knee length and a hat like the Exorcist movie. And I've got the skull on. And it was one of these nights where it's November, it's been warm through the day and it's starting to get cold, so there's all this low-lying mist all through the park. I'm taking a shortcut through the park because the streets are full of drunken folk. Nobody walks through the park because there's not that many street lights. So that's why I walk through the park. And I'm coming through the park, and I even have the little briefcase, so I do look from the back like the front cover of the Exorcist video.